All right. Well, hello, and welcome to the Three Attic Network. I'm merrymitch, and today I'm gonna be reading you some fantastic stories. Hoping that the day will be well, and that we'll get to hear some pretty terrific tales. I am doing pretty okay today. I have been a little bit under the weather. Thankfully, as far as 2 tests go, I don't have the illness, but yeah, I appear to have some kind of cold or flu of some kind, so I pray that you guys might bear with me today, as my voice might be better because of it, or worse. We'll have to see. Since I am a little under the weather, we're going to be reading a couple of more inconsequential stories. I found that on Reddit there is a whole Reddit dedicated to people that write short stories on Reddit itself. So I figured, hey, today might be a day to check into that and see what the Redditors have in store for us. Hey Remy, what's up, man? I appreciate you today in the control room, man. I hope your morning's been swell and that the day ahead goes all the better. Aw. Hey, heck yeah. That's, don't got a name for the little owlet yet, but I'm planning on making, or I have kind of dedicated that little drawing to be my new mascot. It's pretty good. I used my new birthday gift, Canvas Pro 13, to create it, and now the little owlet is there to hang with us and read along as well. Hoping to create make it into an emote and maybe create some other emotes with it, and yeah, kind of just provide us with a cute little dude to spearhead the merrymitch brand. But yeah, thank you, Remy. I'm glad you like it. Let's see, my day so far has been pretty good though. I got up way earlier than I had wanted to, because I've been having trouble sleeping with this illness that is racking my body. And it was quite disorienting because I, in my dream last night, I woke up at 5 p.m., was frantic and scared, disappointed, sad, because I had, of course, missed my stream time, and I've had that sort of dream many, many times in the past, where I'll have either work to get to or some kind of other dedicated event that I just, within the dream, I wake up like in just unacceptably late for. But then, lo and behold, I wake up and it's like 8 a.m. And I was like, oh, okay, well, and in a way, that's kind of a beautiful thing, because whenever that happens, I'll wake up and have a bit of a sense of relief, you know? But I did go to bed a little bit late last night, so 8 a.m. was not the hour that I was looking for to arise. Nonetheless, I got up, I did some push-ups, and got myself going, ate some eggs, came upstairs, played a little bit of Binding of Isaac as a morning ritual. I got a really good run going on the Lost character, which the Lost is a rough go, because that character dies in one hit no matter what, with no ability to achieve health upgrades aside from the one that I did go ahead and get, which was, it provides the Holy Mantle for the Lost, which means it can get hit about once per room, which is super nice upgrade, and it was only because of that I was able to finally beat the chest. But now I'm working towards trying to beat the dark room, and I almost made it. I even beat the heart, but as I had beaten the heart, I died at the exact same time. So the heart and the Lost perished at the same time, and I was distraught. However, it is of no big consequence, though. I'll have another crack at it today. Yeah, I've also been watching through a couple of, pretty long video essays and trying to rest and feel better, But now, it is time to jump into the readings. Let's go ahead and swoop on over here. So yeah, check this out. I have found that in 2021, they are announcing the best of r/short stories. There's a whole nomination deal where you can come to the same site if you're interested and check out the works, nominate the ones you feel are worthwhile, and yeah, it's kind of a cool thing. It seems like this Reddit is pretty well run and pretty well maintained by the mods, and seems to have been going for quite a long time. Yeah, since 2008, March 23rd. Am I logged on? Because this doesn't look like my my tag. Well, I don't know. I won't worry about that for now. So I have gone ahead and picked out a couple that looked pretty interesting to me, and so I think we'll probably go with those, seeing as we don't have too many active chatters yet. So I was gonna go ahead and do a poll, or ask you guys what story seemed interesting to you, but I also prepared, just in case, the ones that had seemed interesting to me. So I think we'll start with just the very first one here. The Door to Escape Immortality. And this was posted by the user Lord Magpie 1. Oh, no, sorry, that's 1 month ago. Simply by Lord Magpie. So let's go ahead and... These jams are ever delicate and super beautiful. But let's toss on something from Tabletop Audio. I wonder what sort of fantasy tale this will be. The Door to Escape Immortality. Maybe this one? Yeah. Yeah, okay. I think this is the one to go with. So, without further ado, this is The Door to Escape Immortality by Lord Magpie. Well, I heard that the end of the world was somewhere beyond the borders of Ravensguard, beyond the forest of Dunlock. And there's a door, I'm told. A door that will bring you to another world. Rebecca finished, taking a sip of her mead. Her eyes flickered between the couple on the opposite side of the table. Eric stroked his chin, all the while looking at the ceiling. Harper, on the other hand, kept her focus on Rebecca. Hang on. This music might be a little too intense for this part. We might get back to it, but it seems like they're just in a tavern. So let's find a tavern track. I think there's one called Mountain Tavern. Yeah, this is a good one. There's a couple of these that I know as go-tos. Alright, let's try this again. How do you know this? Harper asked, pulling the sleeve of her shirt over her stump, which was muscle memory at this point. A wizard told me, Rebecca answered, as she flagged down a passing goblin for a drink. Of course, my lady. He sniveled, hobbling back and away to the back room. The group was silent for a moment before Eric joined the conversation. Hang on. The wizard, he began, narrowing his eyes in Rebecca's direction. It wouldn't happen to be Fyodora, would it? Rebecca's eyebrows lifted momentarily before falling back down. Yes, she said through gritted teeth. How did you know that? Eric smiled and leant back on his chair, making it creak loudly, as he put his hands on the back of his head. Just a hunch. He grinned, catching a look from Harper. A look that said they needed to talk. Excuse us for a moment, he said, taking Harper by her only good hand and pulling her off to a quiet corner of the inn. So? Eric asked, a great smile on his lips. I don't know. Harper huffed, stress consuming her. It sounds legitimate enough, but... But what? Eric exclaimed, bewildered at Harper's hesitation and disappointed by her lack of excitement. Whoa. Whoa. Sorry, those sneezes took me by surprise. Gosh, usually with a sneeze, right, you feel it coming, you prepare yourself for it, and then sneeze. But that was one of those sneezes that just came out of nowhere and in an instant. A sneeze that takes a second to recover from. Goodness. Let me get a drink of bye. Whew, okay. I just don't trust her, she mumbled, looking over Eric's shoulder at Rebecca. There's something about her, Eric. Look, Harper, Eric stated, taking her by her shoulders. We've been trapped in this hell for far too long. How many times have you died? You have to be sick of it. So many deaths and too much disgusting mead. I know what you mean about Rebecca. I don't trust her either. For now, though, she's our best and only hope of getting home. Harper didn't say anything at first. Her mind drifted to different scenarios. Betrayals, double crosses, and the eventual freedom she hoped to win. Okay, let's do this, she said. Eric ordered 2 more mugs of mead before returning to where their future guide sat. Okay, Rebecca, he began, pausing only to look at Harper. We're in, but no funny business. Strictly work. Of course, gushed Rebecca, gripping her mead tighter. Well, let's get started with the planning then. All through the night, and the next night, and the night after, the 3 of them sat and planned out the entire journey. From how much beef they would need, to how many shoes they would go through. After the 3rd night, they had exhausted every possible problem they could think of and racked their brains for a possible solution. I think we're ready, Rebecca had finally said, draining the last drops from her mug. Ready? Gasped Eric, looking at the small map that was laid on the inn's table in front of them. We haven't even decided what we might do if we came across an orc pack that far side of Dunlock Forest. Harper threw her head back, laughing harder than she had since she arrived in this world. We can't plan everything. And besides, she chuckled, orcs haven't been seen that far east in decades. Like that, the planning was over. And the trek had begun. Harper and Eric were happy to see that Rebecca kept to herself for the most part, rarely joining in with their talks and always sleeping away from them. Rebecca spent most of the time sharpening her 2 daggers that they usually kept on either hip. The trip across the flat plains that surrounded the city of Ravengard was largely uneventful. The only thing of note was when they came across a troop of lost actors. Weary and tired, the troop had gotten chased for miles by 2 terrifs, great hairy monsters that came out at night and hunted the warm-blooded. Most of the troop had perished, but those that survived were grateful. we got a little peek at Remy there. How's it going, man? I don't know if you could see, but it switched over to the control room for a second. No matter though. Most of the troop had perished, but those that survived were grateful for what food Eric gave them and what medical help Harper offered. After that, other than a brief glimpse of Ravensguard thick black walls It was quiet until the forest. It was in her that they lost Rebecca. Having gone through so much with her, Harper and Eric found it hard to speak about afterwards. Ambushed at night by a cluster of enormous spiders, they were able to escape with their lives. Unfortunately, with their last look back, they saw 2 spiders dig their fangs into Rebecca's soft, pink flesh. Rebecca, a great guide, never made it to the door she had sought after for so long. All right, let's see. They're in the forests now, yeah? Finally, after weeks of stumbling around in the forest, they left the wood behind. Then came the fields. As far as they looked in every direction were fields. Some were empty, but most had cropped beginning to grow. All these crops with no people to eat them, Harper thought. After a couple of days of eating mushy potatoes and carrots, a creaking old wooden house seemed to sprout up in front of them. "This has to be the place," Eric announced, eyeing Harper as he spoke. "No way that it ain't." "I wish Rebecca was here to see this," Harper murmured, pulling her sleeve up as far as it would go. She'd know if it was or not." Eric could only shake his head. He knew they both thought the same guilty thoughts whenever Rebecca was brought up. How they had run while she had died. Left her there, all alone. Well, she wouldn't have waited out here anyway, muttered Eric, pushing open the door. Harper grabbed a hold of his arm with her good hand, half tempted to turn and run. As the door creaked open, Harper felt a pull. The world around her grew too bright. The whiteness was like a knife in her eyes. She screamed as she fell on her back, the ground soft and clean, the white light spinning and spinning. Just when she felt like it was too much, when the tears started to form in her eyes, it all stopped. Blackness. She couldn't see, but felt the presence off to her right. "Harper?" A familiar voice called out. Let's see, I think this would probably be appropriate. "Harper?" A familiar voice called out. She felt something big and black being removed from her head, and suddenly the world came into view. White. She had never seen a room so white. 2 fluorescent lights shone down from above, and her eyes narrowed as she tried to make out the figure to her right. "Harper!" the voice cried out. "You're out of that world, finally." As the light faded, Harper found herself in a hospital. The woman beside her, kindly, old, loving. The older woman took Harper's hand in her as tears streamed down her face. Harper, thank God, she wailed. Thank God. For a second, Harper couldn't make her mind work. Her lips wouldn't move, and she could only sit and listen to her mother cry. Mother? Yes, this is my mother. Mother, she croaked, her voice aching. What's... Shh, honey, her mother said soothingly. The doctors say that your voice will need time, since you haven't used it in years. Years? Harper croaked once more, trying to figure out what was going on. Years, yes, dear, her mother said, a look of sympathy passing across her face. Holding up a large black plastic box, her mother finally answered the question. What? What? Her mother finally answered the question that Harper had been trying to form. You've been wearing this headset for 2 years, Harper, her mother admitted, not looking her daughter in the eyes. You've been trapped, dear. We couldn't take you out of there without killing you. A single tear dropped down Harper's cheek as she looked down at her 2 good hands. This whole time. It was Sword Art Online this whole time. It was Sword Art Online and we didn't even know it. That is kind of a clever way to tell, to tell that story in a pretty concise way, too. I will say, I think this story has a number of really big and intense moments that are kind of just brushed over. I don't feel that it necessarily needs to all be detailed, and the story certainly works as it is, but I think this the tale could use a little bit more build up, because they're in a bar 1 second and the very next their friend has died in a forest. I gotta say that kind of threw me off. And the climax too, the approach of this this house or this door, it wasn't exactly made clear how or why that place was the way they get out, In other words, I feel that things in this story happen, and the reader, I and you guys, the listeners, could use a little more context to, get us a little more invested. It's fine as it is, because it's short enough to not be, offensive, to read all the way through. And I think partially that might be why it's so short. But I have this issue too, I think, whenever I write. For instance, that story I told you guys about, Pama, I think the first time I wrote that one, there's a balance that I feel is hard to attain between sharing too much with your readers and sharing not enough. You know, it's good to specify and include just the right things, or you know, the things that are just right for the story, and not overshare, so that your reader gets lost. You know, but it's there's a balance there. Well, okay. The first one so far, though, pretty good. Let's leave a comment. Hey, this story was pretty awesome. The ending was sweet and tender. Or hang on. I love an ending that's sweet and tender. The characters were very likable. I feel that this story could use some more fleshing out. It jumps from event to event rather quickly. And left me feeling less invested in these characters' well-being than if some extra context and detail were added. Much love. Maybe go for a second draft for this one. Would love a longer version. All right, nice. Ew, the first comment. Cool. It's actually kind of nice. I genuinely, I really like this because, you know, when we read stories like the the Ash Girl and the Salmon Prince, I had a lot of thoughts on that tale. And I did, you know, send a Twitter message out to the writer, Rachel, um, seeing if I could chat with her about it and give her my feedback. But, you know, that's kind of a toss-up whether or not they'd see it. But for this is kind of cool because, you know, we can chat about the story after we're done reading and then leave an actual comment about it. And hopefully help the folks that are writing. That's pretty sweet. I can dig it, dude. Alright, the next one was called Merciful Death. This one seems to be, whoa, a really short one. Okay. Oh, hey, nothing wrong with that. Let's see what this little short story blast has in store. What is some good ambiance for this? This is Death, so maybe Blighted Forest? Yeah, okay. That's good. This is Merciful Death by Sir Landroy. Death loved his work. For as long as he could remember, Death had been traveling to every nook and cranny of the globe to take humans to the afterlife. When someone was ready to move on to the afterlife, Death was able to hear them, and those around them, like a bell rung during a still night, and he would come to claim them. Death loved traveling the world, and deeply enjoyed that his work took him to so many new and exciting places every day. One day, Death heard a family speaking about their son, who had been involved in a terrible accident. They hoped for his recovery, but when Death visited the man in the hospital, Death knew it was the man's time. Death did his duty and placed a single finger upon the man's heart, ending his life. Death began to leave, but as he turned, he heard the man's family begin to curse and swear at Death. Their faces swelled red with grief and rage, and their voices howled at Death for what he had done. Death could not understand. It was not his fault the man had died. It had simply been his time. Death continued his work, but he began to notice more people blaming him everywhere he went. As he claimed drunk drivers, frozen hikers, and crushed bikers, he heard more and more people blaming him. Those close to the recently deceased continued to curse Death for what he had done, and soon despair began to grow inside of Death. Even though he could still hear countless people who were ready to be claimed, Death stopped visiting anyone. He could not bear any more blame. Before long, no one was speaking ill of Death, for no one had died. But Death was still not happy. All Death could hear now was people thanking Death for sparing their loved ones. But without his work, Death wandered aimlessly, unsure of where to go or what he should see. His despair only grew as he meandered without purpose. Then, amidst all the people praising Death for his mercy, Death heard a single voice that surrounded and sounded different from the others. This voice was not asking for mercy or to be ignored. Instead, the voice was calling to Death, begging him to visit. Intrigued, Death obeyed the voice and followed its source. He found an old man, bent from age and folded by wrinkles, laying in his bed. Around the man's room, Death could see pictures of the man as he looked when he was younger. Death saw photos of the man graduating schools, catching fish, getting married, playing sports, holding a newborn child. The man had lived a long life, full of rich memories. Almost all the photographs of the man also included a woman who Death could see grow old alongside the man. Death looked around for the woman, but could not see her anywhere in the room. It was then that Death recognized the woman. He had claimed her some years ago, in this very room. The old man spoke again, asking for Death's touch. Death took the man's hand in his own, and as the man passed on, Death heard a soft whisper of thanks pass from his dry lips. Death resumed his work, but every now and then he ignored a call if there were not enough photographs. Gosh, that one hit home a little too hard there, if I'm being honest. My grandfather currently, he, his wife, my grandmother, Lucille, died a solid, I think, 5 or 6 years ago now. And he well outlived her. And now he's in his 90s, and essentially every time that he is brought up amongst my family, when I was at the reunion, that happened a lot. Even here, he's brought up from time to time. What comes with it is just the plain fact that every single day, my grandfather asks, he's a religious man. He asks God to take him home, so to speak. He, just like this guy in the story, prays for death on a daily basis. I know it's something that I imagine is fairly normal once you get to that age, but still, it's a tough thing to think about. Shoot, I'll leave a comment. An advice would be to show more emotions and what Death would feel when he was blamed, or for something he didn't do. But in this case, Death takes all lives no matter what. Like, every death is Death's fault, right? Oh, yo. Hey, we got some more emotes. Got a hype emote. Oh, we got a Remy emote. Nice. Then the logo is good. I like that. How many emotes are we allowed currently? Remy, are we allowed let's see, we have 2, 4, 6. Are we allowed 6 or any more? And yo, thank you, Kingy. Yeah, I don't have a name for the little owlet yet, but it is a cute little dude, isn't it? The name ideas currently are Flutter, Mirth, I think Munter, Munter, which is Swedish for Mary. Munter. It's kind of like Gunter. Six right now. Also don't have the Insta emote upload unlocked. So yours and couches are still loading. Oh, yo, right on. Hey, no sweat there. Do you think, would you prefer the little owl emote? The little owlet there? Or, would you prefer the classic, book on face? Or the, I guess I'll leave it up to you to decide. But I wanted to throw it out there that the little owl guy is an option now. Speaking of which, I need to add him to my own list of emotes. But yeah, pretty intense story. I think I am gonna leave my thoughts and just say, shoot, this story hit home. My grandpa is currently in that same position as the grandfather in the story, or as the old fella in the story. He's in his 90s and prays for death daily. I think there is more to explore. With this concept that death can hear the people in the lives of the ones he is about to take. Cool tale. Keep up the good work. Also, I think when they're uploaded, I can switch them in and out. Nice. Cool, okay. We could have like a little rotation. Alright, so we've read through The Door to Escape Immortality, Merciful Death, and now in a similar vein to Merciful Death, I'm sure it's going to be just like it. I found a story called The Breakdance of Death. I mean, I'm pretty excited for this one. I gotta know what this one's about. What is the track to put behind this, though? Do we just play some lo-fi? I mean, what even to put behind this? Is there like a club ambiance? Cyberpunk bar? Yeah, you know, that actually will work. Alright. Check it out, guys. This is The Breakdance of Death by I Just Broke My Leg. Geraldo, a 73-year-old man, decides to learn how to fight jiu-jitsu for no particular reason, just out of curiosity. Geraldo believed he was still young enough to face physical challenges, so he thought of the first sport-related thing to practice, jiu-jitsu. You think it's Geraldo or Geraldo? It's probably Geraldo, right? I'll go with that. Geraldo went directly to the first dojo he found. He enrolled on the spot and attended his first class. During class, all students, mostly children and teenagers, looked at him with curiosity. Was he an assistant to the master, they thought? Could it be that the master was actually the helper of this old man, and the old man was actually the master? Or was he really a new student who had enrolled in junior high school? The master, a heavy-set, who in other times was the head of the drug trade and killed innocent people with his own hands, and now uses his fighting skills to kill even more, stared at him with a look that no one could tell what it meant. During the first practice, The students formed pairs, where they practiced some moves, and Geraldo seemed to have difficulties. The master approached him and tried to explain in more detail the hip movements and so on. Geraldo tried to do as the master explained, and then the master killed him. That's it. No, I'm just kidding. And then the entire class was stunned by what they saw. Geraldo was doing breakdancing. "Not like that, Geraldo," said the master, confused. Geraldo couldn't stop and could only scream in terror. "Ah! Ah!" The master tried to hold Geraldo's legs, but was kicked away when he touched them, falling on top of one of the smaller students, who broke his arm. Ouch. All the students who tried to stop him flew away when they were hit by Geraldo's spinning legs. The master returned, very pissed, and tried to use a blow on the old man, but was killed instantly by a kick in the face. Dude, this story is amazing. Within hours, the police had arrived at the scene and tried to apprehend Geraldo without success. Reinforcements were called in. The 2 police officers were wounded. Geraldo, from spinning around on the floor so much, ended up moving out of the dojo and found himself in the street, surrounded by patrols and a belt of television channels covering the news. "Old man takes the life of a jiu-jitsu master and does breakdancing non-stop. 2 police officers injured." The news spread quickly over the internet and reached the whole world. On the same day, Geraldo went viral as the breakdancing grandpa. The absurd story that he killed a jiu-jitsu master who had more than 30 years of experience made his death a laughingstock. His family, even before receiving the news of his death, already received death threats, both from internet strangers and from loan sharks and enemies of the master's secret life. But things started to get serious when the number of injuries started to increase, and the number of bodies. Hours had passed, and Geraldo hadn't stopped breakdancing. He didn't look tired either, as the pace of his turns never changed. It was the same movement, where the dancer uses both hands to support the body while rotating the legs 360 degrees around the body, while screaming. Of course. I think that's the only way to do it, right? Geraldo had taken the lives of 5 other police officers who had tried a heavy-handed approach to getting him off the ground. 2 broke their necks in contact with his legs, 1 suffered trauma to the ribcage and did not survive, and 2 others were thrown violently away and suffered a head injury. They called negotiators to try to convince him to stop, one after another, and no answer other than "Ah!" Nobody knew how to stop him. The TV news started to talk about the case as a constant event, always updating viewers about what happened between one news and another. The following dawn, Geraldo had traveled 100 meters and hit and shattered the edge of a building into several pieces. The city, upon learning of this, triggered an evacuation of the neighborhood, and then the only inhabitants of that region became Geraldo and the authorities. There was an intense court case over the issue of using lethal force on the old man. It was finally decided that they would find a new way to end the situation, or public opinion would turn against this decision. After all, Geraldo was a worldwide sensation, and as far as everyone knew, the deaths were accidental, as he had no control over his body. Geraldo's case became the target of conspiracy theories, scientific debates, and proof of divine forces. Nobody could explain how a 73-year-old man managed to breakdance so long and constantly and consistently, almost professionally, and have so much strength to be unstoppable and destroy everything in his path. The world only talked about Geraldo. A plan was soon formed to move Geraldo off the streets and into an area free of casualties. A helicopter would arrive with a metal plate measuring 5 meters, each side in the direction where Geraldo would move. And then, when he climbed onto the plate, the helicopter would lift him up and take him into a field far from the city, where experts would do more in-depth studies. Where, with he is? Who knows? More dangerous. Since Geraldo had no control of the direction he was going, his trajectory was unpredictable. And when the helicopter dropped the metal plate next to him, Geraldo changed course and hit one of the suspension cables, throwing the helicopter into a building like a whip. From then on, images were no longer broadcast to the public. The accident shocked the world. It soon became clear to everyone that Geraldo was a real danger, and public opinion allowed radical decisions to be taken. First, they tried to shoot him down with firearms. The military made a firing squad and unloaded everything on him. Nothing. They used rocket launchers. Geraldo kicked them away. Out there, no one knew exactly what was going on in the exclusion zone. Any information coming out of there was prohibited. People around the world were demanding news about Geraldo. If he was still breakdancing, if anyone else had died, humanity was taken by a morbid curiosity. For a month, scientists from all corners of the world, the most brilliant minds of a generation, worked together to solve the Geraldo case. Tents were extended across the streets where laboratories were set up for analysis. They studied Geraldo as a being from another planet, with the sole purpose of saving the world from this indestructible and unstoppable being. They checked radiation levels and stuff. Nothing seemed abnormal, apart from the obvious. Geraldo was neither hungry nor dehydrated. He neither urinated nor defecated. Didn't sleep, didn't stop. His breathing was steady. His muscles didn't tire, didn't break. It looked like a scratch disc, repeating the same movement over and over again. The greatest biologists were called in, the greatest physicists, chemists, analyzed his heartbeat and nervous system with unprecedented long-distance equipment. No conclusions. During that 1 month of profound silence, the world changed radically. Extremist groups who believed that Geraldo had detached from reality and that the world was a simulation started a wave of collective suicide. That took a really dark turn. Others caused chaos and violence in the streets. Some thought it was all a lie, invented by the government for whatever reason they came up with. But the real skeptics, the intellectuals, didn't know what to make of this story. It felt like everyone was caught in a cold shower. Cults were created around Geraldo. Religions were strengthened by the idea that Geraldo was proof of the supernatural. And superstition grew more than ever. Inevitably, Geraldo caused immense damage to buildings, shops, cars, houses. Wherever he went, destruction was certain. His legs went through concrete like water. Soon, the armed forces took over the situation again and continued their war tests on Geraldo. It wasn't just the neighborhood that was evacuated anymore. The entire city had become an exclusion zone, and from far away, people saw mushroom clouds. After 2 atomic bombs failed their purpose, Geraldo started to get faster. His breakdance got faster. His displacement from one point to another got bigger. With every attempt to stop him, he accelerated. It got more frantic. Geraldo spun faster and faster until he became a blur. In a flash, he crossed the ruins of the city and escaped the exclusion zone. It was carnage. Geraldo zigzagged through the streets, inside houses, inside malls, in parks, and killed and destroyed everything in his path. No matter what they did, Geraldo got faster, and more died. Wherever they hid, Geraldo would kill them. He crossed continents, taking cities with him. He destroyed nature wherever he went. And when there was nothing left to destroy, Geraldo continued dancing. The Breakdance of Death. Dude, this is one of the greatest stories I've ever read. What this has me thinking about is, what if there was a follow-up story that was entirely serious, set in a post-apocalyptic world, where it's what happened after they finally stopped Geraldo. Like, that event of them stopping Geraldo happened, we'll say 100 years prior, right? And now this is just like a story within the world, having that just be a big point in the history of this place. I think that would be fantastic. You know, that was the cataclysmic event. That was the calamity. But that's something that happened so long ago now. People just reference it like, oh yeah, the Breakdance of Death. Oh man. I mean, that happened a long time ago. We deal with the repercussions of it every day. Gosh, this thing is beautiful. Realistic fiction. Tell me why one of the tags is realistic fiction. I mean, well, what am I saying? I'm just gonna say I agree with the tag. This is realistic fiction. And honestly, I hope I can perform the Breakdance of Death when I'm... How old was he? 73? When I'm 73? This tale was absolutely bonkers. And I loved every minute of it. Something I thought of. What if you write another story dated like 300 years after the Breakdance of Death? Set in a post-apocalyptic setting, with this story being the calamity that caused the world to be in ruin. Let's go. What are some of the other comments? Okay, man, that's all I can say. Okay. Seriously, this was massively entertaining. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I was wondering where you were going with this. I was also waiting for one of the scientists to say, hey, let's dig a massive hole and wait for him to fall in, then bury him. That's, honestly, surprised they didn't think of that. I should have think of that. Now everyone is dead. No. Thank you so much. Yeah, dude, this guy's killer. I wonder if he has any more stories, honestly. This was hilarious and nuts, LMAO. Kinda reminds me of the second half of Uzumaki by Junji Ito. Great story, although I think the humor tag would be more fitting than fantasy. Yeah, I agree. Love Junji Ito. We'll get the right tag next time. Nah, man, you got the right tags. Realistic fiction. That's what this is, right? Alright, I gotta see. What else has this dude posted? Illustrated book about an evil wizard or something that invades a family house and starts living there without their consent. Yo. Sounds creepy. We'll have to wait for a horror-themed stream for that one. Yeah, here it is. The Breakdance of Death. God, it's so good. I'm giving it the like. Honestly, can I share this? Yeah, I'm gonna tweet this. Oh. Do yourself a favor and read this short story. It's bonkers. It's a wild ride. And takes only about 8 minutes to read. By the way, it's probably a good chance for me to plug that I'm tweeting more often now. I think my goal is just to find a way to post at least like one thing per day, and then if I post more than one thing, that's pretty good too. The Breakdance of Death. Too good. See, this one was under the humor tag. It's called Alien in the Forest. And we also have a winter classic. Again in the humor tag. Man, I need a second to recover from that though. Let me get some water. And hey, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Remy. I only regret that sorry. I only regret that no one else was here to enjoy it with us. But hey, I'm happy to enjoy the tale with you. All right. Any idea where the other 3 attic crew are? I imagine they might be busy, but I was hoping I'd see Emerald or some other peeps. Oh well. Alright, well. Alien in the Forest. I think this track probably is still good for this one. Either that or just a forest track. I don't know, which do you think would be better? Ah, true. Hey, much love, Remy. Much love. Well, what do you think, Remy? Do you wanna read Alien in the Forest? Or a winter classic? Or we could try to find another one. There's an excerpt from the story of Abyssal Light. Great Old Baldwin. A Rotten Romance. Dreaming Nobleman. I still find it wild that the Breakdance of Death was put in the fantasy category. Too good, man. Creature in the Woods. Alien in the Forest? Alright, cool. Let's go for that. Apparently, this story is a part of the Myron Ruins collection. The rest of the stories can be found on this master post. So if this one that ends up good, can check out some of the other ones too. Alright, let's do a forest track. Hey, there we go. Alright, so this is Alien in the Forest by Astro Ride. The deer carcass on the edge of town was found lying next to an old tree by Heather on her morning walks. Her screams woke the tiny town of Hawthorne from its slumber. Dead animals were common in the village. Hunting was a way of life, and if humans didn't kill it, a larger animal surely did. The deer's killer was clearly neither human nor animal. It had chunks of flesh torn in a symmetrical fashion, and a purple substance in its wounds. A few yards into the woods from the deer, 2 piles of the purple substance mixed with meat was found there. Alien invasion hysteria gripped Hawthorne. Heather was briefly accused of killing the deer herself and being a traitor to humanity. Heather responded by slapping her accuser, and the matter was resolved. 3 lone hunters took it upon themselves to hunt the beast themselves. One got lost and returned at sunset. One was found dead the next morning. The last survived and was traumatized by what he saw through his binoculars. 6 long, scale-covered legs climbed through the trees like a car. 4 tentacles vibrated around it. 2 faced in the direction it traveled, while the other 2 were constantly changing directions. The body was oblong and covered in fur. A fur pouch on the side covered a small slug with a mouthful of teeth drooling purple slime. He assumed another slug was on the other side. The town was divided on how to handle this alien threat. One group wanted to carry on its life as normal. This creature was no different than a bear or a puma. If it got in their way, they would shoot it and hope that it had enough meat for dinner. Another group wanted to leave town and start a new life. They were reminded that the world outside of Hawthorne was a wasteland, and the creature could follow them. The group decided to stay, but they would be sure to propose moving at every opportunity. A third group wanted the glory of the hunt. The surviving hunter reminded them that another hunter had died hunting the beast. The last group wanted to do a combination of setting up a watch around the town for security and sending out parties to gather information on the creature, but not confront it. In a shocking twist of events, reason prevailed, and the last group won. The Watchers observed the creature never went near the town. When small parties of 6 were sent to the forest, they found a variety of animal carcasses and purple slime near the bodies. The creature was sighted running past the information parties, but it never confronted them. With this information, it was hypothesized that the creature was intelligent enough to not attack large groups, and it needed nutrients that were lacking in Earth creatures. This information changed the group dynamics at the next meeting. The group that wanted to live life as normal proposed to continue living as normal. The group that wanted to leave proposed leaving again. This time, they proposed moving somewhere with nice weather. The cautious group desired to continue studying the creature. The hunters had already left to kill it. Chip and Ken are 2 of those hunters. Their heads are crouched and scanning the perimeter for signs of the creature. Their shotguns are close to their chests, prepared to fire. Whoa. When a deer runs behind them, Chip turns and shoots it. Ken castigates Chip for wasting ammo, especially since he missed the deer, which was now running away from them. Fortune favors the stupid, and the creature dropped from the canopy to consume the deer. Ken stops criticizing Chip and begins running towards the creature, shooting at it. Chip follows and fires his gun as well. Chip continues to be a poor shot, as every pellet misses the creature. He does manage to hit a bird fleeing the fight, though. The creature does not move from its meal. Several of its tentacles are struck by bullets and drop to the ground. Its legs go limp, crushing the carcass beneath it. Its 2 slugs drool purple slime. Chip and Ken stand over the body and fire several rounds into it until they are certain it's dead. The town had no research facilities to study the creature, so they buried it. A minor cult formed around the creature in the weeks after its death. The location of its burial was forgotten, causing the cult to disappear quickly. Chip and Ken were briefly treated as town heroes until Chip crashed his car into Gail's farm. They were then regarded as idiots again. Some long for the chance to study the creature further. The presence of an alien briefly made life exciting, and the existence of life in the stars posed engaging philosophical questions. If only Hawthorne could be graced by another alien creature, one that would not be murdered by local hunters. Until then, it was luck and stupidity that killed the beast. Woof. That was a little rough, not gonna lie. Mainly, and this is a deal breaker for me, consistency intense is key. And the creature dropped from the canopy. Ken stops. You can't be switching from past to present willy-nilly. That is, I don't know, one of the first things to learn about when it comes to literature and writing. Fun tale. Use a bit more mystery. Maybe reveal the creature's form slower and take out the mundane parts where the town is trying to decide what to do. I want more alien hunting action. Also, please choose either past or present tense. Much love. Yeah, keep up the good work. Hey, I'm the first and only comment. Let's go. Yeah, imagine that's gonna be the case. Some of these may be, or will be, more well written than others. Okay, next up, a winter classic by Kevin is Sleeping. I've told you for the last time, if you want to explore our Christmas village, you'll need to schedule an appointment through our website. The large man was all shoulders and no neck. They dressed him in a maroon vest and a black top hat. And this is the final call for today. So you folks are gonna have to check back tomorrow, or whenever our next show is open. For a man draped in so much bright festivities, it was half amusing the way he glared at those kids like that. It was the kind of spite that could kill a live party. I've seen less contempt from bar bouncers. He seemed to be trying, but those kids were going to eat him alive before his shift ended. Each individual light flickered at their own tempo. The lights formed simple images of snowmen, presents, and a large Santa Claus hovering above his children. And they were dancing for him. Frosty the Snowman whined from the speakers on loop. The usual warmth of Jimmy's... Wait, hang on. We're not in a forest anymore. Winter. Yo, Yuletide? Let's go. Alright, nice. Yeah, here we go. The usual warmth of Jimmy Durant's voice was stripped away to an automatic robotic tone. It was like gulping a mouthful of hot chocolate that was once rich and warm, but was now cold, as if its life had died out with the snow. The light's two-step dances were basic, but still, he smiled. Still, he loved them all for it. Their performance was recursive and repetitive, but never stale, never losing its magic. He hovered above them in his sleigh, applauding them every time, and we loved him for it. When I didn't catch the security guard wave at me, he slapped the top of my shoulder. It wasn't hard, but it scared the shit out of me. Nearly gave me a heart attack. "You have a nice Christmas now. Or, whatever the hell you celebrate." He shouted loud enough to make the old woman next to me jump. The door she was holding slipped from her hands and could have slammed right into her face if she hesitated at all. I didn't have the courage to speak up, so I nodded at him as the woman cursed something under her breath. Macy's sat just beside the face of City Hall and ran down Market Street. Simultaneous projectors on each angle of the building brought the heart of my city to life. As if the mayor was trying to call Santa in the way Gotham City calls out Batman. He wrapped his co-workers in a present of prime colors. It felt personal. Even from the front door of the Macy's, I could smell smoke. Just a few short city blocks from City Hall stood some religious group. Each day I'm down here, they're down here. These people are coded into the city like NPCs in a video game, and I guess the holidays weren't any different for them. They even fixed themselves a stage to hold their banners. Maybe it was to bring them closer to whatever god they were advertising. Maybe it was to get further away from us, a group of assholes who would never understand the worldview of men and women who share the same street corner. I wonder if thoughts run clearer up there. I wonder if Philly's prettier from 4 feet up. The fact that I had no fucking clue where their passions sprung from is what kept me staring for so long. Their pride ran so powerful. I couldn't concentrate clearly. Nonetheless, their cries felt like a beacon in a first fight with City Hall's own staged performance. The older black man caught the corner of my eye, and I guess my gaze caught his. "It's ridiculous what they're doing." I heard him before I really saw him. "Now, what does any of that shit have to do with the economy?" Okay. So I wasn't really catching what they were saying, and in the most Market Street way possible, a confusing mess was turned into a heated disaster. I felt like I was trapped in a Jack Benny rerun. The absurdity was trying to break me before we cut to commercial. I didn't know what to say to the man, so I just kept walking, never once making eye contact with him. The more distance I put between me and City Hall, the more Christmas felt like starlight fading through a black hole. Further and further, downtown Philly becomes a faint landscape painting. The Christmas paint only drips so far off the canvas before everything dries up, cracks, and chips away. The first Santa Claus who stumbled out of the bar just barely nudged me, and the next 3 practically ran me over. 4, 9, 20 more marched out of the bar like Philly's own festive battalion. All were dressed in their own version of the Kringle of Christmas. Actually, one guy was dressed in a Rudolph suit, as another one of the Santas caught a ride on Rudolph's back. I shot a look into the window, but there was no one left inside. No bartender. Maybe they ate him? My subconscious asked me. The Santa Brigade leader was fitted with the classic red coat, but no pants. His flaccid junk open for the whole world to see. He stood beside the curb to look upon his intoxicated troop.
Right, boys. The war is yet not to be won quite yet.
One of the men violently puked during his general's address, the hot vomit freezing his bare feet into the snow.
For the Santa Brigade charges on into unknown land.
I watched as one of his men wandered off and crisscrossed into live traffic.
Hark, and follow, dear friends, for next we go forth to McGillen's.
One by one, the Santa Brigade marched, or swarmed, down Market Street, towards Front Street. Two of the Santas stumbled into 3rd Street and never got back up, freezing traffic to a halt. None of us had the courage to tell them they were going the wrong way. None of us said shit. Either from our desensitized default, or from a warped sense of curiosity. Will they turn around once they find the edge of Penn's Landing, or will they continue their march? One by one, will they jump into the Delaware River like a pack of wild lemmings? A search for the sacred McGillens, a paradise never fated to be found. I was going the same way, but slowed my walk to a tiny mince. That was enough for the Santa Brigade for tonight. That was enough of the Santa Brigade for tonight. I was getting a migraine. I don't think I'm suited for war. I'll just watch the battle from the sidelines. The magic that seeded into the end of December turns the most miserable time of the year, of the most miserable city, into something worth printing on a postcard. Penn's Landing is a small spot of the city that lives up to its name. It's nothing special, just has a unique energy to it. I don't give a shit what people say. Christmas doesn't improve Penn's Landing. They just added a tree. That's a mountain I'll die on. I invite people to ride the Ferris wheel alone, just once in their lives, only to experience the look that the ticket lady will give you. That woman stared at me as if I asked her to take on the 4-headed demon for me. She stared at me as if I was the 4-headed demon. Her judgment leaked out of her ear and ran down her neck. The Ferris wheel holds you out in its hand, just high enough to see all of Philadelphia. It's not paradise, but it's the closest I'll ever get. On my 3rd loop up, I started to space out a little. You could meditate up there if you let yourself. Just as I reached the top again, I saw him. Philly Jesus. A man who, if you're blessed enough, you'll catch floating around City Hall during this time of the year. All of us are well acquainted with Philly Jesus. He's up there with the sacred cheesesteaks, Love Park. He's up there with the sacred cheesesteaks, Love Park, Philly Jesus. Our Lord was in handcuffs, held up against a cop car. There was a crowd forming around Philly Jesus, gazing up into the night sky. They began chanting and stomping their feet at the 2 officers. One lady jumped out of the crowd and moved closer towards the cops. Nah, y'all fucked up for that. Y'all both know he ain't done shit. How y'all gonna arrest Jesus on his birth week? Oh gosh, this is a little too much cursing for my blood. Dumb-headed, stupid, dummy cops. Come on. Every night before bed, when I'm praying, I hope God knows that I'm really thinking of Philly Jesus. Maybe it's sacrilege. Maybe it's the Kensington Avenue in me that can appreciate the land of brotherly whack jobs. It's the inside joke we can all understand. If you're not even a little fucked up, then you don't belong here. Aw, that was kind of a sweet and tender ending, though. I liked that a lot, actually. Gonna say, this was a really fun tour of how Christmas is, in somewhere I've never been. It really took me into it. And it was funny to boot. Nicely done. Billy Jesus. Is that actually a thing? Or something that like is genuinely a thing over in Philly? Well, nice. I think we definitely have time for a couple more. Do you want to stay within the humor category? Switch to a different one. Check out more in the fantasy genre. Or we could try a mystery story. We could see what else is in the realistic fiction. Action adventure, thriller, or romance. What is Serial Sunday? Is this like a weekly event? That was 2 months ago. What is a serial worm? Artists who finish their serials with at least 12 installments. Oh, like a series. Will be allowed to read their edited serials in their entirety aloud in the Discord's voice chat. This is to celebrate your accomplishments, see how it reads once it's all together, as well as provide some additional motivation to cross the finish line. After the final chapter is read, there will be a Q&A with the author. Questions can be submitted and asked at this time. Huh. It's actually really cool. Dealer's choice. Cool. It's actually pretty neat. I think I may want to check out the Discord for this community, because who knows, if it would be really cool to have them hang out in the stream as I look through their story. Let's go for science fiction. We haven't checked out one of those yet. Alright, let's see. Oh man. Not as many people post in this genre. Too good to turn down. Well, with a title like that. Also, probably don't need the Christmas music. Sorry, I was kind of enjoying it. It's subtle. There's a lot of dialogue. Without, how will I know who's talking? Are there like only 2 characters? Alright, we're gonna go for a different one then. Let's just choose from fantasy. The Tinkerer's Daughter, flash fiction. The day my cat Lucifer turned into a person and scared the ever-living fuck out of me. Okay. That's that title has drawn me in. Let's check this one out. All right, now what's the setting here? All right, nothing. I don't think there's anything in particular. So we're gonna put on the Mountain Tavern again. All right. So this is the day my cat Lucifer turned into a person and scared the ever-living fuck out of me. By Benjamin. Fifth try. I'm not going to go into how. Honestly, me trying to explain is like a physicist teaching pottery. Suffice to say, I was having a coffee on a relaxing Sunday morning, and suddenly, my Sunday was not relaxing anymore. It would have been less totally fucking abrupt if my cat hadn't been chilling in my lap at the time. He does this thing where I sit at a kitchen table and scooch up close to it. Then he kind of meows and let me know he's there and jumps into my lap. I digress. Coffee. Sunday morning. Lucifer, my cat. If you could just imagine a kind of sudden expansion, if you will. Like if you pulled the cord on an inflatable dinghy and suddenly a man was in my lap. A full-grown man. Now, I'm not a witch, but if I were, I'd assume that when you turn a cat into a person, they show up naked. I don't know why. It's not a sexual thing. Anyway, Lucifer, my cat, did not arrive this way. He arrived in a suit. A nice suit. It just got weirder from there. Because he was in my lap, and he expanded so fast. He absolutely upset the table, the coffee, the toast, everything. Upsetting for me, upsetting for the table. But not as upsetting as having an exploded cat on your hands. Exploded is the wrong word. Expanded? You get the idea. God, no one is gonna believe this. Anyway, after I became acquainted with the distinctly unusual turn of events, there was a serious pause. A long pause. We stared at each other confusedly, in shock. Then the chair collapsed. I should have mentioned, my chairs are garbage. Really great for one person, but a dangerous proposition with two small people. Never mind the two of us. Yeah, so the chair broke, and my person, reacted as you'd expect. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen a gangly 6'2" man in a suit try to frantically scramble up the curtains to his favorite hidey hole, but I have. And if it weren't so disastrous, it would have been funny. Down came curtains, Catman, and several shelves containing not one, but two family heirlooms, and of all things, a tray of beads. The sound, the mess, the destruction was biblical. Not to mention the yowling of the Catman, who can even talk? After that, there was silence. Blessed silence. I think Lucifer was stunned because he just laid there. What the heck just happened? Ah, so cat people can talk, I thought wryly. I added this to my little mental journal of things to note about recently transformed cat people. Then I thought, I'm being surprisingly cool about this. Is that normal? Should I see a therapist? Lucifer, the man, the cat, stood, shakily at first, and then with a sort of grace. He would have been sort of regal had he not slipped on the beads. I think in addition to his lack of experience with the beads, he may not have fully grasped bipedalism. On his back, a second time, he shouted a frustrated, "Gah!" Rightly put out by his circumstance and obvious lack of cat-like reflexes. Still sitting in the remains of my chair, something clicked in my brain, and I crawled over to where he lay. I was still at a loss for words. How? What? I fumbled. Fuck you, said the man in the suit with conviction. Fuck you, said the man in the suit with conviction. I sat back, looked at the ceiling. There was jam on it, from the upset earlier. It fell on my face, a satisfying plop. I decided it was time to stop letting the day screw me over. Something or someone was screwing with me, and this was precisely where the buck stopped. Standing carefully, because beads, I said, "Stay there." Then, with purpose, I strode to the kitchen. Almost died because, again, beads. I poured myself a glass of water, dumped in about a teaspoon of salt. I downed it like a shot. Then, I took the salt to where Lucifer had stayed, surprisingly, and pouring myself a generous handful, and threw it at him. Yeah! Nothing happened. Not for at least 10 seconds. Then Lucifer seemed to shimmer, and the sun went out for an instant. Then everything was suddenly normal. Well, not normal. People in the old days threw salt behind them. That works sometimes. But in my experience, if you know where the trouble is, you should address it directly. I imagine you're probably thinking it would take a great deal of magic to put the sun out. And you're right, it totally would. Assuming you're doing it for everyone. That said, I figured by now that whatever was happening around me specifically. The salt taken care of, I knelt down to eye level with Lucifer, currently in the process of popping a seam, and said, "Lucy, can you understand me?" He then gave me a very familiar, contemptuous look. Don't be fucking stupid. Cat person journal entry number 2. cats like the word fuck. And again, at a loss for words, I just looked at him for a second. Do you want to be a cat again? Do you want to be a cat again? Do you want to be a cat again? He echoed without hesitation. I threw my remaining water in his face. He slapped me. Doesn't feel good, does it? I'd just like to pause and note here that it would be manifestly wrong to assume that all cats, given a shot at being human, are assholes. I know it's sort of what we expect when we think of talking cats or people, but I've met plenty of cats who are sweet and tender and nurturing. My cat, like some people, just happened to be an asshole. Reeling a little from the sting, I said, "No, don't ever do that again." Then, "Get up, Lucy. We're going to find Emily." And that's it. Thanks for reading. Thoughts welcome. Please be kind. It's been a while. There's more to this story. Let me know if you want to hear the rest of it. Shoot, yes, please. This was adorable. I want to know who Emily is. The sun going out didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but that may have been the point. Absurdist humor is right up my alley. And it was well implemented here. Keep up the good work. And much love. You can't leave us hanging like this. Please post next part. You said there's more, smile. Oh, hey, thanks for the encouragement. I'll post it the minute I get it written. Part 2 is here. There's a link in the comments below. Word. There's parts 2 and 3. Sick. Right on, okay. We'll have to check out those other 2 next time. Because for now, we're coming up on the end of my time. Well, hey, it might have just pretty much been Remy and I. And I enjoyed it. I had a fun time. Remy, I hope you enjoyed the stories too. And I really dig this Reddit. I think I'll probably visit it every other stream, is my thought. So next stream we'll go back to tor.com and PH Lee probably. But yeah, I'm gonna check out these. I'm gonna check out the Discord for this. See if I can't get involved with the community a bit. I'm sure if I invited them over to the stream next time, they'd, they'd probably enjoy it. Yeah, there were some pretty ridiculous ones in there. And now if I finish my own short story, get Palma rewritten and stuff, I have a place to post it here. That's pretty sweet. Let's pause that. I'm gonna hit play on my lo-fi jams again. Alright, well, wait, actually, sorry, I need the outro theme. All right. Well, hey guys and gals, much love. I really had a fun time today. I'm feeling under the weather, but boy, with some of these tales and how quick they were, the time really flew by. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and remember, take the merriment we found here together reading these short stories from Reddit. Let it carry you into the next bit of your day, and let it be with you tomorrow, too. I love you very much. I've been Merry Mitch. Till next time. And hey, say hey to Remy for me. Bye.